So you have your little military sweetheart from A school and you want to stay together. Watch this video if you want to find out how it works and all the details that you might want to know. What is up, guys? You're tuning in to Nikki MGTV for another military video for all your military video needs. As always, you can hit me up on Instagram, Snapchat, or down in the comments below if you have questions. But as always, let's roll right into the topic, and that is how you can stay together in the military. Or I would say this is instruction specifically for the Navy, but there are similar types of instructions and rules that happen with other branches. But this is the instruction specifically for the Navy, but it does kind of correlate with other branches if you want to marry someone else from another branch as well. So the first thing I would like to say is repeated in this entire instruction is it is not guaranteed that you can always be together. It's based on other stuff. Obviously, it is a priority to keep families together, but it will be a consideration as far as manning and the mission. I know a lot of you guys are going to be like,
well, what if we're just like girlfriend, boyfriend, or we're engaged?
You got to be married if you want to stay together. I know it's almost conducive to get married in the military.
Every single dude gets married early as hell in the military. Marine Corps, Army, Navy, Air Force, everyone wants BH, everyone wants to move off the base. You'll see it once you get to A school. Everyone's going to start marrying each other. Everyone's going to start marrying their girlfriends back home, or they're going to find someone in A school to marry.
But that is the requirement. You have to be married first for anything to happen. So pretty much you're going to be praying or crossing your fingers if you're not married yet, trying to do it. And even when you are married, there's a lot more steps or process to go through. So the rule of thumb here is that they will try and get you within 90 miles of your spouse or wherever they're at. It does also address that there is an understanding of certain duty stations which are within the 90 miles, but it would take longer to get to, and understand that they use the example of like Everett versus Bremerton, and knowing that it would take longer than that time period to get there. So that is a factor as well. So you're going to ask yourself, what's the first thing that you have to do? The first step is getting a NAV PERS 1306. This is an enlisted personal action request where you're going to request to PERS, which is a site or location in Tennessee and Millington, which they are going to control all of manning, where everyone's at, what they're doing, all of the detailing that we talk about of where you're going to get orders from. It comes from PERS. You're always going to hear something about PERS, but yes, this is a form that you're going to fill out to communicate officially to them what you're intending or what you're trying to do. Now, it is important that you are going to route one for yourself, and also your spouse is going to route one as well, and you should have a copy of both of them and put them through to your detailer that you're going to have. You have to understand the Navy is a very big community where you are going to need to notify them which detailer, which community manager or whatnot is going to be dealing with them. So that way they understand if, for example, I'm a corpsman and I'm married to a YN, for example, they have to know, hey, I needed to go talk to the YN detailer over there in order to do that. Another consistent thing with this entire topic when it talks about co-locating members together is the idea of sea-shore rotation. A lot of you guys think sea duty and shore duty like is this totally different thing, but I'm going to explain real quick. Sea duty is a deployable platform, quote unquote. Doesn't always mean a ship. We just use sea duty as that command can make you deployable. Shore duty is a command where you're not deployed. It gets more convoluted than that, but not every sea duty is a ship. You can be with the Seabees, which are deployable. That is a sea duty. And with the Marines, for example, that's a sea duty because I am deployable right now. Now, this may sound crazy, but some people, even though you may want to have spousal co-location, maybe your career would be better if you took a tour away from each other for maybe a one-year tour to Diego Garcia or Bahrain or somewhere else where it's a much shorter tour, but you will notice that it will give you a better career enhancement, part of that seashore rotation we're talking about, because obviously that is something that they look at for advancement as well. That way you're getting a well-rounded sailor. You can deny spousal co-location, or I don't want to say deny, but hold off on it for a shorter billet. You can go there, and then you can still continue that process when you are going to go detail for or get orders for the next duty station after that. So this next part is going to be specific to people that have not been identified as married couple already, and they are looking to finally come together at the same duty station. So if you are at two separate duty stations where you're opposite sides of the world, for example, the one member that's trying to be transferred will have to serve at least 1 year on board before being transferred. again, as far as your training, your retainability, all these other things and factors determine if you can even go, because obviously the mission needs to be met as well, but they will try their best. Again, the seashore rotations will try to be met in regards to that, but usually the person with the least amount of sea time will end up going to sea duty during this co-location. But if you are a new accession or somebody that's new to the military, they may make both of you guys sea duty. That is a possibility, just give you a heads up. And if you have kids or whatever else, they can actually put you both on sea duty still. It's just you have to have what we call a family care plan. So if you both deploy, the child or children go to the grandmother, whoever else, and that way there is some accountability as to what's going to happen with them, and it can't be a reason for why you cannot deploy. Now, this next part is specific for somebody if there is an overseas or what we call OCONUS member. So, for example, you have somebody stateside and someone that's in Japan, okay? Now, if you only have 6 months left on your tour in Japan and your spouse is going to be co-located for a 2-year tour to Japan to meet up with you, that means your 6 months is going to be credited plus another 1.5 years to match what theirs is, so that way you guys are on the same projected rotation date. I think this aspect I'm going to talk about here is important for people that maybe you have orders somewhere already and you are looking for to get married between the duty station or whatever, or before you leave that duty station and you want to change it. This is important because a lot of you guys may want to get married while you're stateside and you're about to go overseas to Europe or whatnot. And the thing I want to tell you is I personally did this as well. I already had orders for 2 years in Spain, but an accompanied tour is 3 years. So I had to then go through the whole process, contact the detailer, and he extended it for me, which was actually very nice of him. But if they cannot modify them for you, they will have to have you serve at least 1 year on board, where co-location can then occur, where your spouse can come with you at that point. Now, there are some restrictions. A lot of you guys think that there's jobs everywhere for somebody, and that's where it becomes very difficult. There are restrictions in regards to where you can be stationed, because yes, you're married, yes, they wanted a spouse co-locate you, but that's based on availability of the billets that are actually at that location. And so you cannot be at the same command under the same reporting senior, the person that gives your evaluation, because that would mean that you and your spouse would be competing against each other. Also, if you get married to someone that is at your same command, and obviously that is possible. I know a lot of you guys are going to poop where you sleep. I don't suggest it. But if you are going to do that, they will do a transfer of one of the members as soon as possible, whoever has done the longest amount of tour on that ship. And it should be noted that a lot of people that are marrying while they're on a sea duty tour or a deployable thing will likely have to finish their tour there, and that's just because of the fact that we need bodies that are deployable. So I know that this may be convoluted in the instruction, but understand the Navy mission is going to come first, and obviously that is not in what you want, but it may be a while before you guys actually do get to work and live together. From my personal experience, and I don't think it says it in the instruction, but what I've seen a lot of times happen, if you are a couple and you're later down the game in regards to being married, they will try and do a rotation of one spouse is on sea duty, one spouse is on shore duty, and then it will flip-flop vice versa. I've heard stuff about them using the senior ranked person. They kind of base it off of them more so than the person that may be junior. For example, I had a E6H1 that was married actually to her boot camp sweetheart. He was a senior chief corpsman, and so she was pretty much on shore duty all the time because she was a pharmacy tech, and I had long shore duty tours before, but so for her it was much more common for her to get shore duty, and he was just doing a lot of sea duty in comparison. And that might also be why I want to kind of talk about how yes, it's good to have co-location, but it can also bring a hindrance into where you can get stationed at. It can bring hindrance to like your seashore flow and all these other things that can factor into your career itself. So please understand that obviously I don't want you to think that you can't get married or you can't have spouse co-location, but I have heard of people having ramifications or implications for being married and it affecting their career. and if you are trying to marry somebody outside of your branch. So the Navy, we have what are called detailers. Say, for example, you marry someone in the Marine Corps. They have what are called monitors. I don't know what it is for Army or Air Force, but you would have to have your detailer get in contact or whatever process they have in that branch as well. Again, they talk about the 90-mile rule, so hopefully you have a base very close to wherever you're at. I do know somebody that is Navy that's going to be an IDC very soon that is married to an Air Force person, and I was like, I don't know how you're going to do this, because we didn't really have selection of orders or really much choice in orders when I was leaving school. So it does bring a lot more complication, because now I'm curious, where will she be stationed at? Where will her husband go as well? So it brings a whole lot of other mysteries along with just the craziness that military life can be already. And that's why I kind of suggest, from my personal experience, I don't know if I could marry somebody in the military. I know Justine's considering joining, but that would be another adaptation in the future that I would have to worry about or consider and see what we deal with. Now you may be asking yourself, what if they can't get you within the assigned area where your spouse is at? That's where they do allow you to reapply within 6 months to see if there is another availability. So it's not like this gets denied and that's just the end of the story and that's it. They do continue to keep trying, but obviously 6 months later down the road, you're probably going to have a much more diverse types of billets or duty stations that you can go to, and maybe more stuff is opened up. And making this video, I actually found something out where the rule in regards to being married actually can have a little bit of an exception, because the only place that they mention in the instruction is actually Diego Garcia, where it is unauthorized to be married or get married there, I'm assuming, but you can, while you are fiancé, request or be able to have some kind of waiver, it looks like here, in order to be able to go pick your next duty station. That way you guys are closer together. I learn something new every day because I want to educate you guys. But I love taking stuff like this, learning something about it, researching it, finding out for you guys. I know that there are a lot of unanswered questions as to what to expect. I will link the instruction down below that you can go check out. And hopefully you guys have other military questions, because obviously they drive how this channel goes and what we produce here on the channel. So if you do have questions, you can always hit me up on Instagram, Snapchat, or down in the comments below. I love you guys. I'll see you next time.